So I feel like I'm doing like we're doing like a locale, I'm doing like shooting from a different location. I am like,
Right. We need the
hence,
location breakdown.
yeah, shitty lighting. Oops, sorry. I mean, like bad lighting. um, yeah, but yeah. So, hmm, Acolyte number 7. I mean, penultimate episode. We're supposed to get answers. We're supposed to be moving this train forward, and we did get some.
Yes.
We did get some answers. I mean, like, let's be completely fair. We did get some about that specific incident because now you get to see Soul's point of view when it comes to the twins and the coven, and how they they didn't really change. Well, I mean, it made Coral look a little bit more aggressive. And when he did come across the Anasea attacking them, without the speech ahead of time, it really did
Yeah.
make them look super aggressive instead of, like the actual kind of nurturing coven that they, it showed in the beginning, I think in episode 3. So you do have like that, you do see that whole incident play out in its entirety and how it really did happen. Um, However, we're still at that point where we got a lot. I mean, like, you're not letting me know why Kymir is even involved. Now, I
Yep.
have a theory on how they could answer that, or at least give you a hint of how he ties in.
So I also have a theory.
Let's hear yours.
Okay, so my theory, well, we'll start with for all the people that are complaining that, oh, the Jedi are supposed to be the good guys, blah, blah, blah. This episode did show the council said, leave them alone. Indara or Trinity, whatever her name is,
Indar,
the
I think
one,
you're right.
yeah,
Indara.
Indara said, leave them alone. You're letting
Right.
your emotions. So, like, all the people that are complaining, it really was Soul who was like the sole person that
Right.
was kind of leading the
The
charge.
driving force, if we will. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Everyone else was kind of like, hey, not our monkeys, not our circus. And
Right.
he was the reason. So everybody calm down. My theory is that,
With Torben thrown in, whining that he wanted to go
yes,
home a little bit, right?
yeah, I want to go home. Yes.
Too much.
Um, so my theory, and I forget her name, but the light whip Jedi, I think that
Vin Vin
it's
who?
V something.
V. Yeah. Well, I'll
I
look it up
think
though.
she is on her way there, or is
Vinestra.
there Venestra, yes.
Hmm.
I think Kymir was her Padawan. Something happened. We don't know what.
Okay.
He did not follow the rules that the Jedi had. She essentially cast him out. Did they have a fight? Probably. She's probably the one that gave him the marks, in my opinion. So he ends up leaving. And I'm thinking
Hmm.
maybe he was on that planet that they thought was uninhabited up until that moment. And he comes across May and decides that he wants a Padawan.
So are
Like,
you under the impression that Kymir had nothing to do with the coven being there on the planet to begin with?
see, that's where I'm torn because I want to say no, but he alluded last episode to the fact that he was pretty old. And
Sure.
it could come off as like, oh, it was a long time ago. That's why you don't read about me. Or it was like, no, like it was a long time ago. I just look really good for my age. I've got the biceps and the abs and everything, but I'm really like 500 years old. So
With
I'm
his
50
taut
50.
muscles, did you?
Yeah. I'm 50-50 on whether or not he was a part of it. I could see it, but
Right.
I'm 50-50. But it also goes back to how do we only have one episode left and we don't have answers to
Right.
these questions. But that's we'll get back to that. But that's my theory.
Okay. I mean, yeah, yeah, I do. I hadn't even thought about him being her Padawan, but I was gonna say it's a good catch because the scars on his back, people have said look like a whip lightsaber,
Yeah.
would have gotten him. So like, even if it's not his Padawan, it feels like they had to have come across at some time, because maybe that's why she's kind of sketchy and like kind of on
So
edge about.
intent on going, but not saying why and
Right. Like not
all of
really
that.
considering him Sith, but considering him
Yeah.
there, knowing that there are split, that there, I mean, like whether they're not like actual an organization of Sith, there's still dark. They understand the opposite of light is the dark force. And so understanding that that's out there. And so, yes, having come across him at some point, possibly get in and in some way giving him that, whether it be, you know, yeah, disagreement or however it came, you know, them breaking apart or just meeting in some faction. I like, I still wonder if he brought the witches there and with the intent of the twins being created. So he could then take, I don't think he just wanted one. I think he actually wanted
He wanted,
both.
yeah.
Right. And I don't know if it was more of like, I mean, yeah, the rule of two would have been around already by then, but if he's not, like I said, the actual formal Sith organization, the CEO of the Sith, or whoever is running it at the moment, like, yeah,
Right.
we're like, is it Darth Plagueis at the moment or who actually is in charge of like the Sith corporation at the moment? If he's just
Sith
like they say
Incorporated.
that, rather the Knights of Ren, or that if he's
They
just a
keep playing the music, so this could be like the origin story of the Knights of Ren. But yeah, we still don't know
right,
who's at the top right now.
right, or even if that's, and maybe that's not even a, maybe that doesn't even matter or come into play. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe
Yeah.
if you
Again,
can
maybe they're not a part
explain,
of it. Maybe he's his own little splinter cell.
right, like if he's not a part of the Sith or the Night, like I don't. It doesn't bother me if he's not a part of any of those form. Like he doesn't, for me, doesn't have to be that. He does need to be explained on why, what his tie is to the coven, because I think
Yes.
like why you don't you why the inner, like why are the twins important? Why is the ascension important? How did Kymir come across them? Did he put them there? Did he want the twins created? Did he intend on, or is it just him and Soul being the mirror of each other, like him wanting an acolyte and Soul desperately wanting an acolyte, knowing he wasn't prepared for one? I i hope, you sincerely hope that those things are kind of addressed in the last one, because you can't just, here's again, I'm willing to give the grace of Kymir not being an official anything tied to
Yeah.
anything that we know of Star Wars. Fine, okay, but you did tie him to this coven in some sort of faction, so you do need to at least address that relationship. And
Because May was a child. Osha
right,
was taken by the Jedi. They helped raise her. May is the same age. Doubtful that she would have survived out in the world for 16 years on her own.
right.
So someone had to have found her, taken care of her, gotten her off that planet where they were. Obviously, it's Chimere, we believe,
And you
because I
need to
feel like it's
explain,
way
how
too
did he
late.
know about that planet? How did he know about that
Exactly.
planet?
So what
And
you're
haven't
saying
he
makes sense. He has to be
happened to
tied
wander
into it.
around a child?
Right.
Like, so then you're asking me to believe, like,
He was just in
not
the
only
woods and saw a big explosion and started jogging over there.
right,
Look for
like,
survivors.
right, randomly came across a planet that was believed to be uninhabited. So again, so either he didn't know and stumbled across, which not believable, or again, the better, it would be more believable to know that he did know it was inhabited, did have this vergence, which could very well be a dark force vergence,
Yeah.
or at least a vergence, and use it for the dark side and say, hey, guess what? Like I've got a power source here. Here's what I'm gonna start building my Knights of Ren army.
Yeah.
Like start creating them. I'm going to use it with dark magic, a coven that can just create children for my Padawan out of, kind of do that. But then again, it's like, it's just, it's confusing because then it's like, okay, well then if he brought them there thinking, okay, well they might create a child, then there's nothing in that like Anasea or Coral are understanding that they eventually are turning over
Yeah, they don't know they're being
children.
used yet or something.
Right. So it's like, and the kids were taught that they were going to be leaders in some sort of way, but leaders of what? Just the coven, even
The
though they
leaders of
could,
the coven. Yeah.
but then like, do they age and die and fall? Like, okay, leaders of what if you're not going to keep creating more children?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, again, you did answer some questions. You did answer why Kalneka had decided to isolate himself, what his
Yes.
fascination was with the witch symbols. So I'm not trying to say like, I'm not going to be one of those people online who are like garbage. Be fair. They did answer a couple things. They still have a major, like, yeah, you told the story, but you still, to me, I don't, for Indara to be so against it and so vehemently opposed to not taking one of the kids, to then, okay, now you've got one of the kids and now you're going to lie to her for the rest of her life.
Yeah,
Like
well, it's
that's
like, yeah, she just lost. You don't want to, she said her logic. I saw the angle of her reasoning for wanting to lie, but it wasn't a good angle, in my opinion, and it wasn't strong enough to commit to this lie. Like, I realized, yeah, it's a lot of paperwork if you got to go and say, hey, this happened, we did this. And now you've got this girl who just lost her sister, just lost her coven, wanted to travel the world and be a Jedi, blah, 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 blah. So you're like, you know what? She already lost so much in the last 4 hours. Maybe don't say that, hey, you thought she was in trouble, so you murdered her mother, and then the rest of the base exploded. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I guess there has to be a reason for you guys to keep her and also have you guys not face the council for your crimes against humanity. But
at,
I
at any given time, even though the
yeah,
council, depending on what mood they're in, are very forgiving
I
or will sentence you to die. Like,
exactly. So like I get that there had to be a reason. I felt like it was kind of a halfway thought out reason, but yeah, I just like you said, they did answer some questions. You see why, they went on their self-imposed exiles. They felt guilty, but for the sake of OSHA, didn't want to tell the truth. Okay. But then I guess we still need to figure out.
but then like you'd be like, we rescued her. I mean, because
Yeah.
again, if your thought is everybody on that planet is dead now, I mean, like, or at least that we know of, at least this one little section, because we didn't bother to, I mean, if we didn't use the logic of if somebody's here, they could be on another part of the planet. But I mean, like,
Right.
let's just say, okay, fine, you think, all right, now we've got an orphan who we've already rejected as far as training for Jedi. Like every child they find that's an orphan automatically goes into the, I mean, like they're so desperate for like, I like that again makes no sense to me because you're like, so you rejected her, but now because she's an orphan, we're willing to train her. Like,
That was where I was going. Yes. And then you get to the
yeah,
council and you tell your lie, which fine, it protects
right.
her image of the Jedi. Cool. The Jedi, in my mind, would be like, oh man, that sucks. So anyway, all of our reasons that we just stated are still our reasons. So best of luck to you. I heard that there's a Tatooine planet you could go to. There's a pod racing. Best of luck to you. Get out of here,
Yeah, you
rascal.
seem really handy with the electronics.
Yeah,
There
like
you
because I mean
go.
it's the same thing with Anakin, where the council, he was not really an orphan because his mom was alive, but they freed
Right.
him, brought him to Coruscant, did the test, passed the test, and they were like, awesome. Too old, no. And then obviously they changed their mind at the end, but it wasn't really them. It was more like Obi-Wan's like, no, this is happening whether you like it or not.
Right.
So maybe it's the same situation, but I don't know. But then all of them commit to this lie, yada yada yada, and then she doesn't finish her training anyway. So it's which obviously they didn't know that was going to happen, but it's kind of like,
Right.
okay. I just, yeah, like we talked about, I don't hate it, but I think the way that the storytelling has been told has been up and down. There are
Right.
moments where I think this is really cool, this is really good. There are moments where I'm like,
Mm,
this doesn't actually make any sense. And then the biggest point, which I think both of us have really, like, that's the one we've really harped on, is this is an 8 episode season. Like, unless you have already gotten the green light for season
true.
two, and that's when you're going to go into a lot of detail, it is very obvious to both of us you needed more than 8 episodes, or you needed to explain things sooner, because now we still have some questions. We still have a lot of questions about Chimere, and we've got 1 episode to get all of those questions answered.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
like,
my biggest gripe with the show, not the
because you
scouting
don't,
money
yeah,
and all
you
this
don't
other
have
stuff.
the
It's
twins together
literally the
again.
story. Yeah,
I mean, like, so you've got Soul and one twin, and you've got Chimere and the other twin. So I mean, like, and you still have the council. I mean, like, there's three storylines still
yep.
open because now you only have one twin who knows the truth because apparently this is Soul telling May.
And yeah, she's strapped to a table. He's telling her the truth finally after teasing it for 7 episodes.
Right. So he's telling her, Chimere, unless he then they
Unless he
show
was
the
in the
next episode
shadows.
and it shows him watching Soul watching the Covenant
Right.
and like him watching like you had episode 3 where it was like the twins and their point of view, and then you have episode 7 and it had Soul and his point of view watching the twins. Is like unless you've got episode 8 and it's Chimere watching Soul watching, and
Yeah.
he doesn't know the truth of, unless he's just mind reading people, which maybe, but I mean, explain that. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
know how things went down at that place
At all. Yeah.
at all. So Osha has no idea what the truth is.
All she knows is they
Her
have
twin was
secrets, and her sister,
just trying to kill
who
everybody.
she saw fall,
Is
somehow
alive.
didn't die. And yeah, like I feel like for her, I don't know. I don't know. I'm very curious how it's going to end. And like I said, unless they have already gotten a commitment from Disney for season two, it is once again, you get to a season finale and there are just too many threads opened. And this is
Yeah.
not, as I've said multiple times, this is not just a Marvel, Disney, Star Wars thing. This is just shows in general over the last few years have opened up way too many storylines to get people hooked, get to the end of the season and realize that they bit off more than they could chew. I've
Right.
seen it. I could make a list if anyone wanted to know of all the shows I've watched where I
Oh
get to
yeah.
the end and I'm like,
Hmm.
you missed like 3 things that you got me invested in.
Right. Yeah.
Or you
It's
tie them up, but you rushed them so much because you got to the second to last episode and was like,
right.
oh, dang it. We still have all these
Right.
storylines.
Right. Like unless this episode 8 plans on being 2-3 hours long,
Right.
you got a lot of work to do. You didn't it's again, it's you focused on what you could do and didn't focus on what you should do. And now
Exactly.
you're like, okay, well, again, you have to know that people are out there sitting there going, okay, but then how does Chimere factor into this? How does how are the twins gonna go through, like they haven't gotten back together now, like, and one knows the truth and one doesn't, and
Yeah.
and the council's still acting sketchy over this entire thing. Like last time we saw them, they were on well, they weren't on Brendock. What was the name of where the
Yeah.
Kelneka.
That planet, they just arrived and because this whole episode was a flashback. So
And they were trying to contact Soul, who then turns off
he
like his location.
blasted off and went
Rogue.
they have a tracker on May, right? Or OSHA. because I think that's where he's going.
Do they?
I feel like he had said maybe not,
Maybe.
but I feel like that's where they were going.
Okay.
So you've got that whole situation. Then you've got whatever's going on that planet where Kalnaka was. Like they went and they walked around and buried the bodies. But so now where are they going?
Yeah, because they can't
You
find
going back
because
to Coruscant now?
and being like,
And
well, oops, like
yeah,
with automatically everybody already thinking that Soul's the one who, like, the one guy's like, oh, you think this is Soul? I mean, like, is again, you jumped to that quick. Like, that was like, wow, like
I think
nothing
Osha and
else
May are gonna meet up. Soul and Kaimi are gonna fight again. It's going to be
to the death,
they
both.
kill each other. They both impale each other like Arik and Eric. May and Osha are like, what? That's crazy. They go back to Coruscant to speak their truth. Light Whip Chick is like, no, offs them both. And that's how the council never finds out.
Yeah, like, or yeah, like Vanestra comes across like the four of them all, like, or she finds Soul and Chimere dead. The twins take off back to their original where the coven, like, oh, well, everybody thought this one's uninhabited anyway, so like
Yeah.
we'll just
We're
start
just
a
gonna
new
go out there, live
coven.
out the rest of our days, start a new coven.
We'll start a new coven. We'll try to create children, even
We're
though we're
gonna stay out
sisters.
of all political events. There's an emperor. Don't care. There's a
Don't
new
right.
there's a new republic. Nah, we're gonna stay here on our little planet.
Yeah, and Vanessa will just come across the bodies of Soul and Chimere and be like, "Woo, that's thank God that's done."
Yeah, it's like, well,
Don't have to
guess we're
report
done
any of
here.
this. Like, that's
Yeah.
another day being a Jedi. I will say I did appreciate Anastaea's line of your, what was it, not meddling or arrogance, like you're something about the Jedi's, you're eventually going to just you some of these decisions in your involvement is going to destroy yourselves.
Which was 100%
Right.
what happened. So yeah, that was a good one. Kind of like
Right.
when Kymir, after he killed Jose, whatever her name is, and Soul was like, she was a child, and he was like, you brought her here. Like that is still my favorite line of the show because just as you said before, it's become more and more true and more obvious that these were child soldiers. So
Right.
yeah, when she
Like,
said that, I'm like, she's not
yeah,
wrong.
she's not wrong. She does have a point. Maybe you ought to
Yeah,
listen. Maybe you ought to write this down on one of your scrolls.
yeah. Maybe when you
You
go to
just
Tatooine and see a kid, you just leave him. Just
right. Yeah. How
hey,
about yeah? How about we stop taking kids? Like, we'll maybe if parents want to, like
yeah,
privates, we'll consider the Jedi like private school. If parents want
right.
to enroll their kids, you
Yes,
know, great. If not, we'll stay out of all of this. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, again, waiting for episode 8. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe we'll be blown away and we won't
It's got to
have
be 2 hours, like you said. That's got to be like at least an hour and a half, in my opinion, to wrap up everything well. But we've got
right,
4 or 5 days.
right, as Dave Chappelle would say, you know.
You know,
So we're gonna actually move on. So we're gonna talk about the two, well, I shouldn't say the big trailers because I mean there's been big trailers all year, but
sure.
like kind of two of the major ones, major, but Gladiator 2 and Captain America: A New World, I believe is the
Brave New
title. A
World.
Brave New World. So Gladiator 2 first, because that one came out first. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I have thoughts about it. I am excited. I am excited to see it, but go ahead and give me your initial thoughts about the Gladiator 2 trailer.
All right. Gladiator is on my one of my favorite movies of all time. Just beautifully shot. Absolutely love it. So anyway, brought Ridley Scott back. Love it. Um, obviously this is set later down the road.
20 years.
20 years. I'm
Mhm.
interested to see what happened in those 20 years. Good to see Denzel with no accent, with his New York accent. Love it.
Training day.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Greek mythology and all things Greek. Honestly, back when I first started getting tattoos, my original plan was just to get Greek mythology tattoos, and then kind of the more research I did, I was like, oh, these gods are like terrible people. Um, but that being said, I have always been enamored with the gladiator arena. And I remember in books reading that there were times that it got filled up with water and they had like naval battles. Like I remember reading that as a child, and now in my 30s have never seen that. So when I saw it on the trailer, I lost my mind because I have been waiting for someone to give me a gladiator arena filled with water with boats. Like at that point,
Yeah.
I was already sold. I know a lot of people are upset about uh the modern music
Mm,
in a period piece. I get it. I like the song, so I realize I'm biased. But I will and I heard it, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard it, I'm like, what? But I liked the song, and I realized they were using the song literally because of like the one line where he says tears on the model the
Coliseum.
yeah. Like there's like one lyric where he just says it, and so they kind
Mhm.
of play that on a loop. Is that enough to use that song? Probably not. But because I like the song, I let it slide, but I'm not going to pretend like I don't understand where people are like, what are we doing here? Pedro Pascal, haven't seen anything that I don't like him in. Ridley Scott is back. Is the guy that's in the Gladiator arena? He's not Lucius, right?
Mhm.
He is.
Mhm.
So how did he get here, and why is his mom? I guess that's
Yeah.
for the
She
movie.
sent him, from what I've read now online, is she sent him away to I guess Africa, or like either she sent him away to Africa, and then that's where he became, I want to say, I don't know if he's been captured. There is like a little bit of backstory I know online, because I know it's supposed to take place during 211 AD, which is about
Okay.
20 years after Commodus's death.
Yeah.
It's during the reign of I know it's like Emperor Gerda,
Hmm.
um and his brother. Um
But wasn't Lucius supposed to be the emperor though?
no, no, it's during the time of I forgot whose sons. Oh, Septimus Severus became emperor, and eventually he gave his throne to his sons Caracalla and Geta. Geta, I'm sorry, not Greta. Geta. About two, they ruled together as co-emperors from 2000. Or I keep saying 2009,
2000.
209 to 211 AD. So
But I thought the whole thing was once Commodus died, Lucius became emperor. Because
I guess he could have. I mean, like, I guess
like
he
I thought that's what it was set up for, because Commodus had no kids
right, right,
and his sister, who he was in love with, had
right,
Lucius. So I thought like he was next up. So to see him now as a slave
right.
in the gladiator, I'm like, why? How did we get here?
Yeah, it says that he was sent away from Rome by his mother and grew up in a region of northern Africa known as Numidia.
Interesting.
He says he started a family, became a warrior before Pedro Pascal's character captured and enslaved him. Denzel Washington's character also rose to power in that time. So 20 years seems like a realistic timeline for that to happen. So it's, I mean, obviously they're going to tell you like how it became that he went from, or maybe they're just going to kind of real speed through it and instantly have him take on everybody. I am one of those people that was like, I understand it. I understood trying to capture a younger crowd with using
Yeah.
modern, and I also understood that it's just a trailer. It's not proven to have this music in the movie. I get it. I do feel like they're like, wow, we found one rap song with the word Coliseum mentioned. So instantly, let's put this in.
Highlight that. Highlight that. Put it
Right.
on a loop.
We're gonna get that 20-year-old crowd in here. I was like, really, like, so you have Denzel, you know what I mean? Like, again, Jamin Hansu, major African American character, and the original Gladiator. You have Denzel, which, because I mean, let's face it, Jamin wasn't as big as Denzel is now.
Correct.
So you have a major African American character in this movie, and it was like, okay, let's find a rap song. And I was just like, I felt like it was a little too ham-fisty, you know, like
That's fair.
it's. I mean, I just like, okay, again, as long as it's not in the picture,
I
I
don't
don't
want it
care.
in the movie at any point. I
Right.
thought the soundtrack, the score was phenomenal. Again, Gladiator is like one of my favorite movies of all
Right.
time.
Oh,
The
Hans Zimmer's score
score,
is iconic.
yes.
Yes.
So I would really, really hate to, right before a big gladiator fight, have Lucius walking out to No Church in the Wild. Because at that point,
You've
I
lost
think,
me.
yeah, I'll be like, wait, and even if it's cool, it will take me out of a space
Right.
that I was previously in.
Right.
And yes, they will be
Yeah.
doing a disservice to the movie. And I know there are going to be people whose movie opinions I respect that if they do that, will try and justify it. And I'm not
Exactly.
going to disagree that it might not be cool. It might like be like a pin drop where it's like, oh, okay. But you have the standard set with the Hans Zimmer music. It just, to me, it needs to stay in the trailer. And I can even again see the
Right.
argument where people say it shouldn't have even been in the trailer. I can see that.
Right.
I know I'm biased
I'm just
because I
less
like the
pressed about
song.
it. Right. I'm just
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where you're like, you eye roll, but you're definitely not like, and now let me get on the keyboard, you know, like,
Right,
and you're like,
exactly.
it type of hate mail to,
Here
you
we
know, like,
go.
you're like, I get, like, I completely understand. It's like, I
Yeah.
get it. Like, yeah, it's like I said, it was just like, what are we doing? And then it was like,
Yeah.
again, it was like, okay, so you searched, you had one person search all the rap for the word, something that mentioned Rome in some sort of, you know,
Yes.
fashion, and you enter like, got it, got it, got it,
Yeah.
got it.
I
And it's like,
definitely can see that. I think
I
my confusion, like I didn't harp on it. It was like, okay, my whole thing in my mind, Commodus dies. Technically, I guess his sister should have been the emperor, but as we see from Game of Thrones, you can't have a woman on the throne.
I
What?
wonder though,
So
I
I've
wonder
gone to
if
Lucius.
we would have looked at that again, if she was trying to make a case for more of an election. Like, this is what happens when you just pass it down to family. Like, my brother by no means should have, because originally like she was
He
saying
was
is
going to give it to
right,
Maximus.
my father's vision wasn't for hereditary. It
Yeah.
was for to pick who he thought was the best leader for, you know, this country. And so maybe she's like, not so much like, well, now because he's dead, now we just naturally give it to my
Yeah.
hey,
So
now
the
we give it to my son.
12-year-old son ended up not being elected because he was 12. And
She
was
opened
like,
it up, right? Yeah.
and then went out to
I'm
have a family life.
right. I would have to read more about Greek history at that time and how this Severus came,
Yeah.
if that's how you say his name, came into power. But I think that's kind of what she was alluding to in Gladiator, was that like it shouldn't be like clearly like, look, this is what happens when,
Yeah.
you know, like somebody seizes power for themselves because they think they have a right to it. So maybe we won't just give it to my son. So
And killed his father because he found out that the father wasn't going to give it to him.
right.
Took over, had Maximus executed, or so he thought, and then went on a whole tirade for the next few months. So yeah, that's probably it. I'd have to go back and watch it again. Honestly, as much as I say I love it, I have not watched it in probably
Like
2
years.
years.
Right, which is crazy, but you're gonna have to
It's,
watch
I
it now.
love the movie. If I ever see it on TV, no matter where it's at, I
Right.
immediately sit and I'm not moving for the rest of the movie.
It's
It's one of the
fantastic.
few DVDs that I have. Most of my stuff is on. I've been trying to buy back a lot of my collection, but it's one of the few DVDs that I have. Like, it is one of my favorite movies. So yeah, but I can understand why people saw it, rolled their eyes, were unhappy. Now to find out
But
that the trailer has more dislikes than likes, and seeing all the think pieces
does it
and
really have more
error,
dislikes and likes?
yes, it has more
Really?
dislikes than likes.
Because last time I thought somebody had said it only had, I shouldn't, I mean, like, only. It had 5,000 dislikes, but I thought it had 63,000 likes. But
It has surpassed it unless over the last couple of days they shifted again. But I know as of like yesterday morning, I
shut up.
saw a post that said it had more dislikes than likes. And like that part where I was like, really, guys?
I
Now,
think,
if it is in the movie, like you said,
right.
that will annoy me.
That,
That
yeah,
will make me
that's a
upset.
legitimate gripe. But like,
Yes.
yeah, like I think right now people just do, I just think people are, they just act ridiculous to act ridiculous, but that's a whole other thing. Now the other trailer that actually we both just watched today because it came out today. Today is Friday,
New
July
Rockstars hasn't
12th.
even done a reaction trailer to it yet or
I
a
know,
break.
right? Like, I mean, here we are. Hopefully I can get this uploaded before I have to hit the
Yeah.
road. Um, but yeah, Captain America: A Brave New World. Go ahead, thoughts.
My first thought, I don't know if you've seen the poster, but the poster, I am a big person.
I'll look it up now.
I like good movie posters. And I
Okay.
hate that we've kind of gotten to the point where it's just like floating heads. Those are weak.
Yes.
This one is
All
the
right.
Red Hulk hand holding kind of like crushing the shield.
Yes.
That is a movie poster.
That
That
is
is a movie poster.
that's you know what that gives me, please let it, like, it gives me old school
Yes.
Marvel vibes. Please,
Yes.
yes.
Let the movie
Yes.
be as good as this poster. Like I saw that poster and I was like, let's effing go. Because I just like I know Endgame had like a ton of stars, but it's just like the floating heads and the name of the movie. Like I'm a
Right.
big poster guy. I want the creativity. So apart from that, I thought the trailer looked really, really good. It clearly it's well, we're gonna get the why is everything got to be political? You're literally dealing with the superhero and the president, like it's going to be political. Like it just
Right.
is. Let's
And
just get that
The
boy.
Captain America movies always were. They were like
Yeah,
political thriller
that was
movies.
the
I mean,
whole
like,
point of the Sokovia Accords. That was
I mean,
political.
Winter Soldier was political. Civil
Yes.
War was political. That's what
Yeah.
those movies are. So like, right.
I thought it looked like a really good superhero movie with characters that we've come to know and enjoy. I wish that they made Harrison Ford wear the Thunderbolt Ross mustache. I get the little throwaway line, like I'm still getting
Yeah.
used to you without it. R.I.P. William Hurt.
Right.
But that was like, I missed the mustache. But I think it looks really good. It's what it's potentially setting up with the Thunderbolts, I think is really good. It looks like there's a faction that, your inner circle is compromised, which is a really cool angle to look at from a superhero movie because now it's like you've got the superheroes going up against the most powerful person. And then it just seeing Sam with the wings and the shield, like it just looks like you said, it looks like old school Marvel. The problem is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I see a trailer this good. I'm like, we're getting a great
Yeah.
movie. Let's go. Now, me, you, all the comments I've seen, this looks like a old school Marvel. Please let this be good. Like that
Right.
lets you know where we're at. When you
Right.
see a trailer
A
this
lot of
good,
PTSD going on in the Marvel
yeah,
community right now.
you
Right.
see a trailer this good, and your immediate thought isn't, let's go, we're gonna get a great movie. It's please let the movie be as good as the trailer and the poster.
Right. Exactly right. Where you're like, it's almost like you're like flinching, waiting to get hit.
Right.
Like I want to like this, but you guys have hurt me
Don't give me
so
hope.
bad. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And my boy, like if my boy could be, yeah. If yeah, he needs to be put in the comments of all those trailers is please don't give
Right.
me hope. Yeah, I my concerns, I mean, I guess that you want to talk about the concerns of just 2024 in general is I worry about casting an 80-year-old and introducing a character that you need carry on again. Red Hulk, like, in is he a throwaway character now? Because this is what it tells me, is because again, you love Harrison Ford, but let's be honest where Harrison Ford is at. Again, we have got to get really real. This is not ageism, people. You just have got to get realistic with the lifespan of humans. The
I
lifespan of
said the
humans.
same thing When I
Is
heard William Hurt died and they replaced him with Harrison Ford, I was like, so in 2 years for the sequel
you
or
cast somebody
whatever,
older.
for the Thunderbolts, we're gonna have to get a third General Ross
Yeah,
because
that's mainly my concern is so I worry about like, well, how long are we like I really like Red Hulk. How long are we getting him now?
like you
Like
said, please don't make a throwaway character because Harrison Ford is too old or he moves on. And it's like, oh well,
I got
we didn't
bored
want to
playing him.
recast him for a third time. It's like, well, maybe get someone that's not like you said, it's not ageism, it's just the reality.
It's the reality of lifespan. You if you are looking if again you have either determined you are doing away with this character after this movie, or you just really haven't you just aren't you just haven't gotten to the realities again. I agree with this realities of science and lifespan. We are not immortal. And once you hit anything, a lot of times you can say 75, 80 after a certain point, every day is, yes, a blessing. However, when you are casting for long term, you have to put that into your plans. And
Yeah.
now you are going through it. They are because of their they like to have, well, I don't know anymore because they used to have a long term, I mean, they at one point had
They
an
used to
18
sign him for 10 movie contracts and everybody would sign the dotted line, no questions asked. Now you got to get two out of them as a blessing.
right, because we're doing with a lot of recasts just in recent, I mean, you're talking about Kang is having to is going if you decide to still it's too big of a character to just kind of toss away. You're talking about like Kang gonna be recast, or has Blade been going on so long that you're going to recast?
Every day I'm
Is
waiting for that post.
Harrison
I mean, I
Ford
can't
is
even blame him at this point.
yeah, Harrison Ford is older. Is he gonna be recast? I mean, like they're dealing with a lot of recast. I mean, like and
Yeah.
it has happened in the MCU. I mean, you had I'm blanking on his name, who became Don Cheadle. So I mean, like,
Oh,
yeah,
Terrence Howard,
okay, yeah, I mean, like that happened.
Rhodey.
Right. I mean, you've recast Spider-Man a few times, but I mean, that's more Sony than it is.
Hey, Liv Tyler is still Betty Ross. It's the one that's endured for like all three Hulk versions.
Right. Hulk has been recast 3 times. I mean, it's you're dealing with that. And I mean, and it
Yeah.
happens again when longevity, it happens. But right now, you're talking about recent
Help
MCU.
yourself by not casting people that are at the end of their career.
Right.
Just
Eh,
do your like, yeah, recasts are gonna happen, but when you have an actor pass away, I believe
Chadwick
it was,
Boseman,
yeah,
RIP. I mean, like you didn't see that
R.I.P.
coming, but
Yeah,
it
but
happened.
then you cast someone older,
Yeah.
like who's a bigger name? Yeah, but how long until you're doing the same thing? And like you said, if Red Hulk, if Thunderbolt Ross is a character that you are trying to have span
For
a couple
Thunderbolts.
movies for
Right.
Thunderbolts,
Which isn't in production. Is it in production yet?
I don't know.
It's like my brother in Christ. If it isn't, again, you need
You are playing a dangerous game when you could have casted an older person that looks maybe older and you can use the makeup to make them look older rather than
let's actually get an old
casting.
person.
Yeah. Like, and I'm not saying cast someone like Steve Rogers' age and put them in the old man Cap makeup, but cast an older person that could play the
You can say my
role.
age. You can say in their 50s. I'm not even gonna be upset. Like you can do that.
Someone that
Like
can play the role for a few movies. I
and
like I
already have some established wrinkles. I mean,
yeah.
let's be fair. You're casting Hugh Jackman. I mean, and he is visibly, I mean, again, looks great, but his face is visibly older, still
Yeah.
is Wolverine. You can please, if somebody in you, yes, it's true. He could, I mean, you don't, I'm not going to speak that into existence, but I mean, like every day, anybody can go at any time at any day, but you're going to have made a better longevity with somebody in their 50s than you
He
are with
looked
somebody in
great
their
in
80s.
Old Man Logan because he was old.
I mean, how
Yeah.
long did you get? I mean, Ellen or Ian McKellen and Patrick
Oh,
Stewart. Like
yeah.
you,
You got lucky with those, but and then you got Patrick Stewart back for, his 30-second cameo in Multiverse of Madness. But like you have to plan
but you used
for the
Michael
inevitable.
Fassbender for let's
Yeah.
reboot this.
Yeah.
You didn't use Patrick Stewart and just de-age him. Like you
Yeah.
understood the passage of time. So
Exactly.
I am really pumped for the movie. I think it looks great. Um, I like there's something about the gritty, realistic Marvel movies that I appreciate. I mean, again, love Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think it's still one of the best movies that came out. But I mean, you understood that you were dealing with a fantastical world there.
Yes.
The, I do always appreciate the gritty, again, like Captain America Winter Soldier will kind of always be one of my top movies, if not
Oh
just
yeah.
for that elevator
Oh
scene.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, wow,
definitely
I
helps.
lost my train of thought. No,
Just
but
the gritty realism, as
yes,
far as realism is concerned in a fantasy world, you were dealing with real world type stuff.
which led you to believe that they could exist within that reality.
Exactly.
That's what you need, is something that I can believe that they exist within this reality. I didn't see him, but I am praying Sebastian Stan is in this movie. I can't say that he wouldn't be, but I don't remember. I mean, like I watched it so fast and kind of
I actually, and I want to say I'm wrong, but I remember reading something that he said he wasn't in it, which immediately made me be like, we need
why?
to take a step back and figure out what we're doing. Because A, why isn't he there? And B, just from the Falcon Winter Soldier series, their chemistry is just, I'm not just the series, just anytime they interacted in Civil War and anything, like they just were on point
Yes.
together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I understand that you're going to be like, oh, don't do that. Like, Bucky was Captain, Steve Rogers, but I really do think that like you're really missing out on his, like, because I think that, like when Everett Ross says to him, or not Everett Ross, but when General Ross says to him, like, you're not Steve Rogers, you kind of need that Bucky. I don't want Bucky to speak up for, I don't want him to speak into his place and say, like, yes, he is, I don't need that. But to have Bucky at his side kind of is like, I don't need you. Like, we're carrying on, we're doing just fine without you ever meeting Steve Rogers back again. Like, I've
Yeah.
got it.
So
That's
yeah, it's
fine.
confirmed, and it could be a lie. They lie all the time.
Sure.
Sebastian Stan said he is not in the movie, but it's ultimately a good thing for the MCU.
It's not good for women everywhere.
I don't like it. I think the reason that they're saying, because this article is literally titled "Why I'm Glad Bucky Barnes Isn't in Captain America 4." I think what they're getting at is
This
literally
written
what
by
you
a
said.
man.
He doesn't need to stand up for.
Right.
He doesn't need to stand up for
And I get that.
Sam
I
Wilson.
100% get that.
He should still be there. Let
Right.
Sam use his own voice and speak up and defend
Sure.
himself. Bucky still needs to be there.
Sure. Like I get
And
it.
I
I
feel
get
like
it. You
there's
don't want you don't want a white savior coming in and being like, well, Bucky says he's the real Captain America, so that's what I
right.
100%. I 100% agree that maybe I'm just one. I just love Sebastian Stan as Bucky,
He's a
and
good looking
two,
guy.
the chemistry between them I think is just a real miss. Like I just think you're just missing out on just some great dialogue that is
Agreed.
probably going to be a very, very intense movie. You need those points of levity kind of every once in a while with those two. That's just my opinion.
I
I
agree.
do like that they're bringing Isaiah Bradley back from at least the character from
Yeah.
Captain America or Falcon Winter Soldier. I do like that they're bringing him. I'm really interested in seeing how he plays into it, what if the super soldiers are kind of being activated again. So I am really pumped for this movie. Again, it's like you said, don't give me hope, but like I'm always gonna have a little hope for that they do the right thing. So
Seeing Isaiah Bradley reminded me, and we went, I think on one of our previous episodes, we talked about the Young Avengers and we started going down the large roster, and we mentioned his grandson
Yes.
who showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but
Right.
was not confirmed to have any of the powers that might have
Right.
been from his grandfather's DNA. I'm wondering if, because Isaiah Bradley is there, will that be an avenue to bring in, I'm forgetting the son's name who ends up being Patriot, but will it be an avenue where he ends up showing up at some point and you find out that he has 50% of,
Right. He has something. Yes.
he has something, maybe not the full, because obviously he would have been through his dad and then to him, but there's a chance. Now, also, it could be that he was just his grandson and it is what it is, but I know his grandson existed in the MCU because you saw
Right.
him in the show, and in the comics, he does end up being someone. So until they tell me
Right.
otherwise, I'm going to believe that he is.
And I was looking it up while you were talking, that Eli Bradley is not going to be in the new movie, which again, I
Ah,
hope that's like, I want to, please let it be a credit scene then,
right.
like, yeah, I like, fool me, please. Like, I
Yeah.
hope, like, at this point, I kind of sometimes hope you're lying to me in the press
Agreed.
releases. So like, hopefully we'll find out more as far as like, I guess when, I guess we'll hopefully get more scenes or at least some more leaks. I don't want to say I don't want spoiler leaks. I just kind of want more information leaks when Comic-Con and the Disney Day kind of hit.
Yeah.
So all right. So that's, thought that was pretty good. I think, yeah. I mean, that's where we're at now. I mean, hope. But next episode we've got is episode 5 for House of the Dragon. See the fallout
Yes.
from our queen who never was. R.I.P.
R.I.P. There better
R.I.P.
not be any words of peace. I don't care if the Greens come and lay down their banners and say, you know what, you guys get the throne. For the sake of our queen that never was, y'all better
Somebody's got
keep
to
fighting.
die.
Somebody's got to
Kristen
die.
Cole, at least has to die.
Right.
Somebody's got to die. Like, I don't
Uh,
care who it is. We'll just pick somebody. But we're gonna see a little. Well, I don't want to give spoilers. I was gonna say we're gonna see somebody in episode 5, but to people who are holding out hope that something happened in episode 4. Well, one, don't get your hopes up. It didn't happen. But until
they've
then, so
acknowledged that the universe from the books and the movies is different. And while obviously they are pulling a lot from the books, I think the whole world is coming from the books. They pretty much said on more than one occasion,
they are.
not
But
everything.
I can't see them. I can't say it. I will tell you off air. Until then, so the rest of you guys are just gonna have to wait until episode 5. So bye until then. Bye.